And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
All right, here we are.
We did it.
Hello, friends. We're back.
We're back.
It's like you just drop in. I think we're in the right show. Hello to Leanne's joining us this morning. Whiskey for Lima Echo Alpha. She's in North Carolina. Steve W7UDI is here. And I know everybody is thinking, Christian, how did you manage to rope a lady in here? But that story, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But look at this, guys. Here's something I didn't get to talk about in the pre-show. And thanks for anybody who came by the pre-show and was like, what is happening in here? Why is he, it's always that old bald Polish kid. He doesn't have it together. He started his show an hour early. Dumbass. Kind of like that. That's the voices in my head. Those are the voices I hear in my head.
Those were the same ones in my head. I always hear dumbass in the back.
It's because of my mother. I blame her for everything. It's always.
I was going to say it was me saying it. It was my voice you heard saying it. So.
You sound just like my mother, so you got to go. Look at this, guys. This is how my life is going this week.
I'm
on the crutches. I fell out of. Let's back up. Talk about blaming mothers. Let's go back to talking about my mother. This should be a really long show. Well, it all started, and I think I was in 5th grade. I was playing catchers. You know the game, right? Where kids are playing it or whatever it's called. And you chase each other around. Anyway, I sprained my ankle. I actually broke a bone in my ankle when I was in the 5th grade. They should not be cheering for this, Leanne.
That's how we raise them.
This is not my favorite story.
It's boys, man. They're going to go for the glory.
No, I think this is so cool. I told Leanne earlier in the week I have that real Neil Young kind of whatever. It's going to happen. So anyway, 5th grade, I broke my ankle, got out of it 6 weeks later, and sprained it again. And then weeks later, twisted it again. Anyway, as a grown man, yesterday, I'm out with my youngest. She's 6, and we're in the shed. She's got a first aid kit in her hand, and she was asking me because I'm cleaning out my truck. What's this about? Leanne, do whatever you got to do. It's all good. She's like, what is this about? And I'm like, well, open it up, and there's a CPR thing, and there's different whatever. So I go to step out.
There's
first aid stuff in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like that, kid. She's so smart. It's ridiculous. And so Dad goes to walk out the door of the shed, and I turn over my ankle on the lip that the door closes in, and that wasn't like it. I fell out of the shed and crashed down about this far, and then I'm on my back, and it's just quiet, and I'm sure my little one, she's like, you kind of were like grunting a little bit, and I was like, that makes sense. And she's like it was really quiet for probably like 30 seconds. It felt a little longer, and she's like, Daddy? And I'm like, I'm okay, baby. I just can't feel my foot like my foot is. And I'm laughing. Like, this is natural. Your foot, is my foot still back in there? Like, is it in the shed?
Don't worry about it that it's kind of facing a little bit different.
I don't think it's broken, but it is definitely not happy with me. And I was iced up and elevated and ibuprofen. So today is day 2, but I had to get these crutches because I can't put any weight on the foot at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of how. And last week's problem was spilling the coffee directly into like bloop, 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 bloop. I didn't do it like that, but it did go in there, and it was like a pool on my keyboard.
In my mind, that's what you did now. I only see you just being like, hate this job.
Not gonna do it. Sorry. Yeah, it was a work computer. That's a good note. So I don't feel as bad, but I've seen that happen in other people's lives, not my own, where you spill, I know a girl who dropped a thing of peanut butter, like a spoonful of peanut, bloop. And she was like, I don't recommend that. And, I'm like, of course not. But I would actually have preferred that over what I did.
For the coffee.
I mean, it was just sitting on top. And that's when I taught my children the F-bomb. I was one word I screamed.
Oh, you waited a lot longer than I did.
Yeah.
I taught mine much younger.
Okay. Well, you say it's a military thing.
It's a comma. But, I mean, I won't do it here.
Morning, Alan.
You're welcome.
Got it.
It's a person, place, or thing.
Oh, yeah.
Alan says hello. He's Alpha Bravo 8, Alpha Sierra. Good morning to you, Alan, and good morning to Jared. Hello. Thanks for coming by. Jared also
cute
says,
dogs.
I was active duty from 1991 to 1988. Thank you, Jared, for your service. He's a Marine.
Yeah.
What does Jay say? Pre-game was awesome. Time for the big show. Hopefully no nudity. Hi.
No guarantees. I said downhill.
Shut your eyes, Jared. This has gone into a different dimension here. Jeffrey, good morning to you.
We're going to get flagged by YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
It'll be like, there's some sort of weird, I don't know, like a kid back there or something.
I mean,
Mr. Christian, this is CPS.
Your meet and greet was a little strange, wasn't it? Come with us.
We could
I'm like, I can't walk.
We were really trying to get your ratings up. Like they brought on a YL and they were talking about nudity. Everybody tune in. It's not what you think.
Had I known, my show title would be so different right now if I had known.
So different.
Good God.
Oh my gosh. Although that is a different future of ham radio, I suppose.
Yeah.
And hopefully not one that exists.
Let's just
hopefully
say most.
Not a future of ham radio.
Look, ham should not be number one. Twerking, and should not be naked in front of screens. I'm saying
or TikToking. Nope.
No TikTok
Can
videos.
Confirm that I should not be doing any of those things.
I'm not talking about you.
Phase of my life.
You might be in the 1% that.
I should not.
Others.
I promise. I've seen myself dance.
Okay, well, yeah.
It's bad.
I'm not worried about that. At least you can dance. Flashback to 3 minutes ago. So anyway, hello, Marty.
Good morning,
I'm on
Marty.
time this morning, he says. Jeffrey says, let's see.
And Marty was in the pre-show chat. So good morning.
Got licensed in 2012. Jeffrey just got his general and have Mike Fright. Okay, yeah, that's a real thing. That's a conversation we should have at some point there too.
You should.
I just think that I've been on the radio for the better part of 30 years, and radio is different than putting in a camera. It's different. So I thought about that stuff with, Mike Fright and having, a camera and having the meet and greet. I was like, man, that may not actually work out because there's a lot of hams that, they're afraid to crack the mic and maybe they just listen. And if anything else, I think 100 Watts in a Wire is a place where, you're among friends, at least even for our 100 Watt in a Wire net that we have on Sundays, it's always friendly. We may get QRM'd at some point, maybe have in the past, but we don't we just don't do all that fooling around. It should be a place to come and not know everything and be okay with that. So I totally get if you don't want to be on screen for a meet and greet like we did this morning. And I also understand Mike Fright for kids and for adults alike. It's not easy to sit and just call CQ. Mm-hmm. It may be easier if you maybe learn the code. Like if you learn code and you're like, and you're banging it out. I just said, something about whatever. But, that is a topic. And I try to get people to, I don't know. It's hard to get over that. I'd be on the air. This is why I don't trip out with numbers. When I was on WMMR in Philadelphia, we had so many people listening. It was ridiculous. And if you let yourself trip on those numbers, you'd lock up. And they're not even looking at you. But every break counts. Every break counts. And it's all I'm saying is so I don't really trip on the numbers, but I can understand. Then I'd have to go out and you may introduce a band. Bringing out the band. I remember one time I brought out the Governor, and then we brought out Stone Temple Pilots, and then and you're like, they're right here. The people are 20,000 people are right, and you're like, So that was a different experience for me. So I relate all those words just to say I totally relate to those who have an issue cracking the mic. But groups like 100 Watts in a Wire, you can post your frequency and meet and talk to somebody maybe you've known or shared a conversation in a thread with. So it's a little bit easier than just doing it. I don't call CQ as much on the fly. I'll chase a park, but But I may not sit up and park and bark if we're not in an activity or something like that. But anyway, thanks for that comment there. But Jeremy, hang in there, man, and we'll set up. This is what we'll do. The three of us maybe will get on the air at some point and let us know when you want to do that. And I'll fire up the amp and we'll make sure we hit you for sure. And you'll have a friendly QSO. What's Edwin saying? Where is Edwin? Are you in Austria, Edwin? I'm not sure. We try to keep as civil as possible.
Oh.
Well, you got to go.
I was going to say, I think it's already gone south. I think it's too late.
Yeah, we're done. We're
sorry.
Here's Andrew.
God,
Andrew is
11 minutes in and we failed.
Listen to that. Listen to this call sign. WI7ARD. Submarine in Montana. What a great call sign.
Well done.
I love that.
Did you go watch the submarine races up there in Sandpoint, Idaho there?
The no code. He also has to go. No code.
No code.
Yes, code.
Oh, you want to talk about California. Just stirring up the hornet's nest. Code and no code. Oh, man.
I know.
I just came along at a time where it wasn't required. If I needed to do it, I would have done it. And because I have small kids now, see, Leanne can talk to the fact that she's doing it and studying it, and that works for her. For me, it's like, okay, I'm going to take and learn the code as my kids are learning their ABCs. Steve may remember me talking about that. Then I'll, and time just slips away and gets in the way. And next thing you know, I got 13 letters deep. And I learned how to send them. I didn't learn how to hear them. And I taught myself the wrong way. And then I was like, I just put it down. I just put it down. It's not right or wrong. It's just what happened to me. So anyway.
We were lucky. It was quarantine. Like the start of COVID, I had already started like very lightly learning code in February. And then the lockdown started and my husband got stuck here at the house. So that was great. And I had all the free time in the world because he played Mr. Mom for 3 months, which was awesome. And that's when I learned code, was during that period. So it might have gone very differently if he hadn't been here.
So how did you do it? How did you go to like an online class or you?
I ended up there. So I started I downloaded Just Learn Morse, the computer app, and I started with the Cock method. And I ended up kind of hating it because you get 4 or 5 letters in and it's just nonsense. I'm going to do Christian Shop. Hi, R. Fowler. Not much new in Columbia, he says.
What did he say? I took it off too soon.
Oh, they fired another head coach.
Oh.
That's rough.
Good morning, Ian. Okay. Ian is a net control operator in Georgia.
Good morning, Ian.
Oh, okay. I have to mute this.
Good morning, Steve.
Kid.
KC3AZT. He's in Philadelphia. And everybody's welcome to please go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are recording these Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock, live streamed. And you can see and hear. You can also take things with you, with the audio podcast. We'll always take the audio so you can listen to it. But we're going to record now this way. So everything will go over to the audio side. I've got so much to talk about. Leanne's here because, one, I think she's cool. Number two, but our audio audience didn't see the head nod to.
You're allowed your opinion, I guess.
No. Yeah.
Man.
We're going to start with cool.
And then downhill.
Yeah.
You'll do that on your own. That's for me, you're at the top. If you decide to go down, you're in control.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll get on that.
Okay. Yeah. You work on the falling down the hill in the barrel thing.
Deal. Got it.
Well, actually, she posted a picture and several pictures of her son getting licensed this week on Facebook. But we had already set this up several weeks ago to come and talk about kids and amateur radio and getting kids involved and that sort of stuff. And we're going to talk about that, I promise. But she posted something on 100 watts in a wire with the pictures, and it went nutty. It went like, it was really, I was proud that
I felt awful.
Why?
I felt really bad because I felt like it was just drowning other interactions on the page, and it's a community, and I don't really generally like, centering, and I just felt like it was taking over. I didn't.
It's needed. We needed that.
We needed someone to make everyone else not stand out.
Wow. No, this is, we talk about it as, as a community, amateur radio is bringing in the youth and bringing our future, and it was being celebrated. So
big time though, big time.
Yeah.
And I think it shows a lot, and it'll probably kick off our conversation. We'll take a break here in a few minutes, but it'll probably kick off our conversation with the fact that I think hams alike are all supportive of kids. We either have kids or grandkids. Most people do like kids. Some people don't, but look, there was a lot of positive, and I think the people wanted the messages to get to your son. You know what I mean? It wasn't like,
they did. In case anyone was wondering, I showed him as it was going on, and his eyes just kept getting bigger and bigger. He couldn't even process it.
And for guys like us, can't speak for Steve. He can chime in as much as he likes. But for me, that's why I created this. In the beginning, when I was licensed in 2012, was it 2012 or 2010? I don't know, 2012, I think. Yeah, 2012. It was, some of the places were not as friendly. Some of the ham radio groups were sort of, and it was like, why did you ask that question? I ask a lot of questions. And I thought I need to figure out a new way to do it. So the community was created based on.
Wow, we just lost Christian.
I assumed it was me.
Yeah, Christian just kind of lost. So now to go on to that, I mean, I started when I was 16 and came into the hobby, and this is in the mid 70s. So the whole arena back in the 70s was totally different for a young kid to come in here. And then on top of it, this is even crazier, is that my call sign got double issued. My first call sign. So back in the day, I'm serious. This is a story that I can go into. And I still have my original licenses, and I can't find the letter. I know I have it that came from the FCC that says, hey, we basically effed up, and here's your new call sign, and this letter is going to be your new license. Well, the thing that struck me, and I was probably maybe 18 at the time when it happened, because it took about 2 years to kind of straighten out. It was a form letter. And I'm like going, you got to be kidding. Yes. And we were
both operating. Oh my God.
On top of it, I grew up in Pasadena, California. So the guy that I got reissued was in Van Nuys, which was in the LA basin along with Pasadena. And so when I was a novice, I was fine. I'm doing fine on 40 meters. Everything is cool. But the problem became when I got onto a local 2-meter repeater on a very popular wide area, and then people going, "No, you're a bootlegger." And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And I would
double issue my call sign.
They double issued it, and people would yell at me and be all upset and getting in my face. And here I am, just this teenage kid getting into the hobby, and it's like, no, you're not going to bring me down. I just stood up to these guys. I said, look, I got a piece of paper here, and it's FCC license, and I would show it to them. They're like, holy smokes, you are for real. And it was just, but it was hell for a couple of years.
I mean, that takes gumption to stand up to adults. The first time that I got yelled at on air, I was really lucky. I was with my club, because I was like, I can't believe someone's yelling at me. And somebody else from my club got in and just like gruffed the heck out of them, which was awesome. But at 16, I probably would have just been like, okay, I'm done. Kudos for.
And back then it was like, and back then in the 70s, the culture of amateur radio was, you young whippersnappers, you're shut up. We're not to be heard. And it's changed. So because the whole culture has changed in the hobby, which I think is great, and we're celebrating bringing in the youth as a whole. We still have a few that are that just they're still living in the past. They're curmudgeons, get off my lawn type, and that's okay. They can be there. But yeah, there was there's other stories I have, but no, it's don't feel bad that it became focused around your your son for, getting his license. We were celebrating it as a community together. And that's the future of the hobby. And thank you for, getting them licensed at that young age. Neil Rapp, he was 6 when he got his license, I think it was.
Oh, that's crazy. I mean,
back in the day.
Whoever that kid's parents are, get them a bottle of alcohol because, whoo, that's an effort. I'm telling you right now, a 6-year-old didn't go teach himself that material. Those parents made it happen.
Man. Wow, Paul, that's harsh.
Okay, Paul. So,
you bring him in on the pre-show, and I hate you.
I hate you, Paul. I hate you, Paul. I swear I will get revenge.
We're allowed to make signs to hold up. No
for the listening audience at home, they won't see the sign I made that said, "I hate you, Paul."
I mean,
let's take a break because I missed all of that. I'm going to need you to say all that again.
We're not telling you. Nope.
Something happened.
You can't know. Sorry.
Let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll dig in a little bit further and get your comments on the next generation and kind of cultivating the future of amateur radio. We'll get to that next. The ICOM 705 is your perfect QRP companion as you have base station features and functionality at the tip of your fingers, but it's in a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilo or just over 2 pounds, with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. It's got that large 4.3-inch color touchscreen with live band scope and waterfall. And the perfect accessory for the IC705 is the optional backpack. It's the LC192. It has a special compartment for the IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on all ICOM radios. And there you are. And welcome back. We're joined today by Leanne, Whiskey for Lima Echo Alpha, and Steve, W7UDI, is here with us. And it's me. I guess I'm sort of a part-time thing here. I'm in and out. I got to go. I'm not getting anywhere fast.
Oh, baby.
As I show you my crutches. Ooh. Can you believe that? I cannot believe it. I'm mad. Well, I do want to get into that because I imagine I know Leanne has a full house, and I know what that's like. And so I don't want to keep you too long. You're welcome to stay as long as you want to. I've said it on the show many times before. I believe that the future for kids who look like me in ham radio is probably going to be all right. I think that it's not to downplay it. I think that we're going to find it. I'm not trying to be controversial, but I will say, and I have said, that until we really are dedicated to having women and people of color in this hobby, we're just going to find the kids who find it. And it's not to say Leanne showed her child. She exposed her child to this great hobby and service, and he dug it and he went for it. And I think that's going to happen. But my general point here is we need more Leannes. Leanne brought in her kid. It's a woman, and we need people of color. And I think that we're seeing more of that. I don't know. But the more inclusive we become, that may solidify in my mind the future of the hobby.
I agree.
Well, go ahead and speak to whatever you want to speak to. Hopefully I'm still here on the air with you guys, but women and people of color to me are the future expanding beyond. My children may pick it up because of me. Steve, you had the opportunity, you expose people to it, you teach people when you can. We got to get into those segments of either our audience or the general ham audience and get technicians to move to generals and be more inclusive. Off a soapbox, Leanne, you can go ahead and speak to that or speak to whatever point you'd like to make about the future of amateur radio.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's impossible for this hobby to grow and expand if half of the population, literally 51% of the population, is fractionally represented, which women are fractionally represented in the hobby, even though, yes, Rosa Marie is a V and a neck controller. Yes. More of that. Yep. I think when hearing a woman's voice on air doesn't make you go, it's a woman, then we're on the right track. And I also completely agree about minorities, people with differing abilities. There's some really neat things. Yeah. See,
nice.
It's awesome. I think there are some neat things on the horizon. And I know like Long Island CW Club, which is one of the clubs I'm part of, they've been just doing the most ham thing to ever ham, which is getting together and talking about how can we improve the accessibility of Morse code. And that's a small thing, but it's step by step. And here we're really fortunate where we live is a really diverse community. Right outside of a military installation, people that look like me are actually about to become the minority here, which is amazing. So when we go out into the public and we demonstrate radio, or when I'm with my kids and I'm demonstrating radio, the doors that we have or the opportunities that we have to present this to kids of different colors and different ethnicities and backgrounds and socioeconomic status, it's wide open. We just have to go out and do it. So I agree. I think the only way forward for this hobby to expand and grow again, which it can 100% and should, people are always going to tinker. Tinkering doesn't go away just because technology exists. If you want to tinker, you're going to tinker. And this is the place to do it. But we've got to reach out. And I don't think that that's really that hard. I truly believe it's just doing radio where you are around as many people as you can.
The science is really cool. I mean, the science of this is something I wish I would have had. I think, and, schools changed a bit when I got to high school. But we're talking about the late 80s. And, STEM programs really weren't a thing so much where I was. I was in a Catholic high school. And we didn't have a shop class. They took away the trade, sort of how to work with your hands. I think a lot of schools did.
Oh, wow.
I think they took that out of the kids' hands and they put computers in, which is okay and fine and great. And we work with computers too. But in terms of building things and understanding things, I really do think, I got to say this the right way or it may come out incorrectly. We need to teach children how to balance a checkbook. We need to teach them how to cook. We have to teach them how to make, you know what I mean? We need to
100%. Yeah.
That sounds like the 1940s and 50s to some people, but I think those skills, and then you can get into the trades.
Right.
Not everybody's going to be.
Right.
Go ahead.
That's exactly. Those were the things that got cut in the 80s and 90s when school budgets got cut. We got to get rid of the home ec and the shop classes and this and that and get away from the basics, and which is unfortunate. And then the same thing is, we're going to push everybody to college, and you need to go to college, but not every student or every kid is college bound. And I think we're leaving behind the trades as working in the trades myself. We're seeing the deficiency. We don't have enough, and not everybody is going to be an engineer or going to be a scientist, so we need that balance. And
and that plays into the inclusivity part too. Believe it or not, I think it's two wings on the same bird, which is, yes, when we focus everything on college and we forget that there are trade schools, that there are, a myriad of ways for you to contribute to the world as an adult, we lose things. When we focus everyone to one direction, we're going to have deficits. And I think the same is true in the hobby. When you talk about diversity and inclusivity, there are all of these backgrounds and thought processes and cultures that we don't really see represented. Everybody around the world learns different ways. There are different types of schooling and different pressures or encouragements from parents, and that brings in a really wide array of thought processes and ways that people approach problems or hurdles or obstacles, and creative solutions that people can think of. When you talk about Europe and the idea of aesthetic innovation there, and how good they are at creating multifunctional furniture and all these different people in the world think different ways. And the more diversity we can bring into this hobby, the better it's going to get. It can only get better because we're going to have just this enormous pool of ideas and designs. And I would love to see that day. I think we will see that day at some point. But I mean, imagine that. Imagine all the craziness that could come from all of those ideas and backgrounds. It'd be amazing to see. Also, everyone would argue because that's what hams do. But that's fine.
And that's okay. At least they're talking.
That's okay. Arguing is
they
you're
can talk
talking
to each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what what the common thing is? The glue is the hobby. It all brings us together. It doesn't matter what background we're from. We're all in it together at the same because of the hobby. And it doesn't matter. We talked about the bias last week, Christian and I, but there's, we have the biases in there, but we want to also celebrate those biases because people are passionate about whatever aspect of the hobby it is, and we want to share it. And that's great.
So Don, Kilo Bravo 2 Yankee Sierra India says we had all that in school in the 90s. I applaud your school system.
Yep.
Mine did
I applaud them for having that. Yeah.
But not all of them did.
You know what they had in Baltimore is they had a vocational school. Like if you wanted to do that, that's okay. If you want to do that and you want to learn how to do a certain trade, you went to Polytechnic. It was called Polytechnic. I don't know if it's still there, but that was the school. And, many of us, we had other options to go and do, but that in those schools that I was attending, we didn't have that, and some of the public schools did. They had versions of it, but they slowly started to pull those kind of programs out. And I'd love to see it. I'd love to have my girls understand what a budget is and, balancing their checkbook and going in there and cooking their own egg. And I don't mean that to sound like that's what ladies should be doing. That's just what we all should be learning is to be able to do that. What's it like to buy something, get your receipts. And anyway, I'm soapboxing a little bit. And I just want to,
I'm with you.
It's one of those things. Tell us about your son. He's already got his call sign. And you mentioned a little bit about doing it, ham radio around him. Yeah. Talk about that process and how you exposed your son to radio.
Yeah. So this is an accident. All of this is ridiculous, but we backpack and we hike and we camp. And my husband doesn't live with us full time, which is a whole other long story. So I'm alone with the 3 kids. And we last November went on a backpacking trip and I had no cell service at all. So I had no way to communicate out of the camp. And it scared me a lot, freaked me out quite a bit. And so we started looking into communication devices and ultimately landed on just getting licensed for ham radio. And so I thought I would get a little handheld and get my license and move on. So come test day, I upgraded from tech to general that day unintentionally. Nice. And because I am a YL, this is the most amazing thing. The club jumped on it here. And they were like, we're going to come to your house. We're going to bring a radio. We're going to bring an antenna. We're going to bring everything so you can just get on the air. And they literally did. They loaned it out to me. And I talked to Italy that evening on the radio. And that was it. After that, I was like, cool, I'm in all the way in. This is amazing. This is incredible.
You jumped into the pond.
Oh my gosh. I couldn't even believe it. These dudes showed up to my house with fishing poles, threw a bunch of metal into a tree, put this giant heavy rig on a desk, and now I'm talking to some dude in Italy 4 hours later. I was like, yep, this is it. I'm in this hobby forever now. This is amazing. And so then I found out about QSL cards, and the first one that I got, we homeschool. So there was already a map on the wall, and I was like, kids, look at this. This is crazy. And I was way too excited.
Do you know how far this is?
You see that piece of wire up there? I did it with that.
For God's
I don't
sake.
even know what's happening.
Can they see me? Yeah, it's crazy.
And then I was like, is this how cell phones work? Is it this simple? This is ridiculous. I was losing my mind. And my kids are here watching me lose my mind. And they were like, well, if mom is this excited, this must be neat. And then I found out about WWFF, KFF, Worldwide Flora and Fauna, and Parks in the Air, Summits on the Air, all of these parks programs. And we're already at parks. Mm-hmm. We already go to parks. And my amazing club, once again, came through with some used gear and Elmering me on how to just make some basic antennas. And then every time we were at parks, I'm operating, and my kids are always with me because we don't have another parent here. And legally speaking, you're really not supposed to ditch them. That's what I hear anyway. That's what they tell me. You're not really supposed to like leave.
It's only if you get caught.
I don't know what this show has become.
They would.
Yeah, the kids would rat you out, but
yeah, they'd light the house on fire, or they would like run to the neighbors and be like, "My mom left. Do you have Cheerios?"
Yeah, Mama's left. She went to go to operate in the parks or something.
Right.
And we haven't seen her in 3 days.
I'm not saying that couldn't happen.
I'm not saying that it did happen.
I'm not.
Right.
I
definitely did not happen. But
nothing like that. So my
good.
oldest son in particular loved it, and so then we started trying to study the way that everyone told us to. Right, memorize the questions. Bombed. Couldn't do it. He failed his first test, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. He got 22 questions. So we studied again for a week, and there was another test available. He tried again, failed it. So then we took a break for a few months, and he earned his radio merit badge and then tested twice more and failed both of those before another ham came in and said, I think you need to teach him differently because every ham has different opinions.
Mm-hmm. No, never.
But in this case, that different opinion was right. He was like, you are already doing radio things with him. You need to start translating the radio things to tests, to the test questions. And that was after a month of studying every day. That way it finally worked and he got licensed. But he's been with me every step of the way. They haven't been, there was no privacy. There's no privacy in this house. There's no privacy in this house.
So blink a couple times if we need to come get you. Okay. Got it.
I'll send it Morse code.
I'm good on curiosity. Yeah.
But
so it was pretty organic that your son came into it. He saw what you were doing, and it wasn't like you going, "Hey, come on, you need to get your license." It was he came to it organically, and that's the best way. And that's the way I did it with my kids. I didn't. They see it, they know it, but I'm not going to push them down that road because I want them to come into it organically and really love it, not just because dad has his license and just to have it. I married into a ham family, so
did you really?
Oh yeah. So my wife has her ticket. She had her ticket before we met, and then her family but my in-laws, even though they're licensed, they're not active. And so that's the downside. They did it because their parents had it and my father-in-law pushed it. And so he was very active into the hobby and very committed. And so he pushed his family and everyone in the family got it. But to this day, they're not active. My wife doesn't even get on the air. But every now and then she goes, "Do you think we can put a 2-meter radio in my car?" Sure. Okay. Whenever you're ready, we'll do it. And then she flutters away and then goes, "Well, no, my cell phone's just fine." Okay, whatever. So I feel that if it comes organically with our youth, they'll stay in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what happened with your son, and which is awesome. That's the way it should be.
So let me button it up here. Side 1, we do a side 1 and side 2, and on the audio podcast, we end up having 2 shows, and we're talking to Leanne from North Carolina, Whiskey 4 Lima Echo Alpha, and talking about her story of getting her child licensed after a bit of a struggle, and then finally figuring out how to break through, which is super cool. And everybody here in the chat is enjoying that. And we're going to give away an antenna this week again, too. We're going to give away, what is it? We're giving the flagpole antenna away, and we're going to take some names for another drawing.
Put out the list, and then put out the list, and
Let the
Leanne
people
can
do it?
select it. What antenna we're going to give away.
Okay, so I'll have to do that with you guys. I have that on my computer. I can pull that up in a bit. We've got some questions and comments to get to from
I totally want to
last
address
week.
the comments.
Oh, so
Nice.
you wanna stick around? Okay, you're welcome to stick around.
A
Okay.
bunch of homeschoolers got in the comments. I can't leave now.
Oh yeah,
Well,
no, I noticed
so put
that.
your questions,
That's awesome.
questions and comments in the chat. Also, if you put your call sign in the chat at any time during the show, you'll be qualified. We got to do it in the U.S. only because of shipping. You know, you give away a $40 dipole and send it to Poland for $60 more. It's not cool for my sponsor to have to do that. So let's keep it domestic, and we'll figure out something else for our other. Leanne may give away one of her children. I don't know. So that
I already know which one. I've already picked the one that I'm going to give away. So
I had a
that was
hunch.
easy. Yeah.
I had a hunch.
Oh, this is the best Saturday.
Yeah, this is the best. See, you've met a whole new group of twisted friends. Let's take a break. We're going to flip the record over, and we'll come back and continue with side 2 next.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsindawire.com.